Welcome to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Reilsono and Steve Mancini. Claudio and Steve will share their business and life experience to help you grow your business and improve your life. Here's Claudio and Steve.
Good evening and welcome to Talking Business and Life. I am your co-host, Steve Mancini.
And my name is Claudio Reilsono.
All right, Claudio. Again, it's been about, 2 whole weeks since we've been on the air. So I missed you, buddy. Hope all is well. Hope you enjoyed the rain.
The what?
The
rain.
The rain.
Everything's good. Yeah, thank God everything's good. We had a nice Memorial Day with my family. Went to Station Square and we went to the banquet hall where the banquet's going to be. Kind of looked around. I pulled Sylvester Stallone did in Rocky the night before the fight. He went to the ring. So, everything's good. Everything's good.
By the way, just real quick for our listeners, Claudio, we are hoping to put up a good announcement very soon. In fact, we're very excited about this. So for our listeners, here's what I want you to do. I want you to just block off July 29th and just plan that an announcement's going to be coming sooner or later. This is our teaser, Claudio. This is the teaser. We're going to give you more details soon, but just block off July 29th if you're in the Pittsburgh area and we think you're going to enjoy the evening. Claudio and I have a big announcement to make soon, and we're very excited to that. So, Claudio, without further ado, let's jump right into our guest.
Steve, we always say we have a special guest, and we have an incredibly special guest today, someone who means the world to me. I love him dearly. I've known him since 90-something, 91, 92, that's how long. And he's great with me, great with my family. When my dad when my dad was sick, he would call regularly. When my dad passed, about 2 weeks later, Vinny Paz was going for his 50th win, which he did get. But before the fight, I wasn't going to go because I was just finished after my dad. Jimmy said, no, you got to come. So I went, and they did a standing 10 count for my dad. And that was it for me for the rest of the night. But he's very, very special to me. In my opinion, boxing's best promoter, a very intelligent businessman. I studied the man. I watched him in action. And after every text I send him, I tell him I respect him and I love him. And that is the founder and president of Classic Entertainment and Sports, Mr. out of Providence, Rhode Island, Mr. Jimmy Burchfield. Jimmy, thank you so much for being on our show.
Claudio, it's my honor. And Steve, thank you for that introduction. And you mean the same to me. And our relationship, our friendship goes back for life. And I just want you to know that them were beautiful words, and I appreciate them.
Well, they're well deserved, trust me, and even more. I could do the whole show just on introductions, but we don't want to do that to you, Jimmy. A long time ago, on one of my shows that you were on, you said something. What sets you apart from someone else? What sets your business apart from someone else? Another business. What sets, number one, Classic Entertainment Restaurant apart from everyone else? And what sets Classic Entertainment and Sports apart from everyone else?
Listen, I think you have to love people, and you have to you want to make people happy. And each day of my life, that's what I try to do. So it's just giving loving, tender care. And without your fans, without your patrons in the restaurant business or any other business, you're nothing. And you got to treasure them people who support you and care about you and make your business grow. So I believe that each day of my life, I want to learn something. And anyone that thinks that they know everything is making a big, big mistake. Going back to the restaurant days, I took a broken down men's barroom and made it one of the finest restaurants, not only in Rhode Island, but all of New England and the Northeast. And it all was by loving, tender care. Now it could be so easy. When I go into some of these restaurants, I just smile. We had just a pad, a notebook at the maitre d's desk, and Claudio's name was under R, and Steve's name would be under M. And it had 1 to 31 every day of the week. And on there, we got to know what your likings were, way, I'm sure that this happens to you guys. When you go to a restaurant and you get comfortable in a certain seat, whether it be at the bar or a table, it's kind of where you lead to when you walk back into the restaurant and visit it again. So we had all of that. We had your likings. There was a fella in New England that had one of the biggest and best pizza places and Italian restaurants. His name was Leo Del Ricci, and he loved burnt garlic bread. So when he got sat, everyone was a VIP, but there was a special likings slip given to the waiter, and he got his burnt garlic bread, and he loved also the hot peppers where the pepper seeds are middle are cut out and chopped up, and he loved that on the side. He loved his red wine, and he loved his wine in a big wine glass that he enjoyed. And they got all of that. We had birthdays, we had anniversaries, we had special occasions. And I follow that rule of thumb to be able to do what other people just don't want to take the time to do is to make people happy. And when you go to a restaurant, and the classic restaurant, seen everyone there. If you were anyone, that's where you came. We had Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, Tommy Lasorda, Rick Pitino. Everybody that was anyone came to the classic restaurant, and all of their special likings were monitored and were followed. So even if they went to another restaurant, they never got that kind of treatment. So, and in the boxing world, in the combat sport world, in my life, that's what I tried to do. There was a story several years ago. It was Christmas Eve, and if you're really Italian, you understand about the vigilia on Christmas Eve, the 7 fishes that most Italian families have on Christmas Eve. And so I'm locking my office up. It's about 1:30. I'm alone. It's Christmas Eve. I've got about 30 people coming to my home that night. And as I'm locking the door, the phone is ringing. And I'm saying, should I take this? Let me get in. I take the phone. It's a little old woman on the phone, and she goes, "Oh, I didn't think I was going to get anybody. It's my father's birthday tomorrow on Christmas Day. He's a big boxing fan, and I want to surprise him. Is there any way I could get 4 tickets? I want to put them. I see you have an event coming up in January." I said, "Well, what is your name and what is your address?" And she lived in Fall River, Massachusetts, which is probably about 35 to 40 minutes away from Providence. I went in my safe. I got 4 tickets for the January show, got in my car, and there was no GPSs then or anything. I'm having trouble. It's getting dark in Fall River that night, and I'm having trouble finding the address. Finally, I find it, and I ring the doorbell, and here comes a little Portuguese woman with an apron on, and she goes, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yes, I'm here to deliver some tickets to you." She says, "Oh, don't you tell me that Mr. Burchfield on Christmas Eve made you come all the way and deliver these tickets?" I said, "No, I am Mr. Burchfield." So she got a gallon of homemade Portuguese wine, and she wanted to feed me and everything, and it was her father's 85th birthday. So what I did, I got home not with a happy wife. By the time I got home on Christmas Eve, I didn't give her much help cooking, but the January date, it was about 40 days later, I remembered where they were sitting, And I called the father in the ring at 85 years old. And I introduced him, and I asked everyone to stand, and I pre-recorded with the DJ to do happy birthday. And we had everyone in the whole arena, it was a sold-out arena, sing happy birthday to him. And I put a pair of boxing gloves around him, and all the fighters had signed it, and he was crying like a little baby. And they became fans. They followed me. The father lived until 93 years old, and they would order 15, 20, 25 tickets to every fight that we had from that point on. So it doesn't take a lot to go outside the box and go outside your comfort zone and do things that will make people happy. And I think, Claudio, that's what kind of separates me from anyone else that's in this business.
Well, I agree, and I've seen you in action. I've seen you behind the scenes. I see how you are with your fighters, and it reminds me of what Super Bowl winning coach Dick Vermeil used to say, which is the theme of my book, and that is your people, your team won't care how much you know till they know how much you care. I mean, you really care for your fighters, and I'll say this, even when they've gone, to another company,
Yep.
if they needed you, you were there. And I don't see that. You don't look at these guys as dollar signs or just as they're your guy. And I think that that's appreciated. That's why I always say there's not another promoter out there like Jimmy. And again, my mom used to say, never speak from the neck up, speak from the heart up. And again, I've seen you in action, and that's how you do it.
Yeah, and I think that the loving, tender care that you give. I've been running businesses since I was 21 years old. I ran one of the biggest building material in all of New England companies, and we practiced the same. And I had some great mentors. And I think one of the other things that I did in business that it's not as popular as it was, but one of the courses I've taken is a Dale Carnegie course that teaches you how to think on your own 2 feet and how to speak and how to speak and handle people. And I think it's so important, because when you run a company, you're only as good as the team. And it doesn't matter what kind of company it is. If you've got a team that is in rhythm and everyone is rowing the same way, you can go to the moon.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better than that. And it really is about the team. And, you kind of went back, you said, like, I'm 21 years old and I started running businesses. Jimmy, who early on in your life, obviously your character was made at a young age. A lot of us, it's our experiences when we're young. I kind of want to go back in time. I want to talk about that. When you were growing up, obviously there must have been influences that taught you these lessons. And ultimately what it comes down to is just the fact that you respect your fellow man. You treat people right. And then that comes back to you. People say, hey, that's a good guy. He took care of me, so I'm going to take care of him. Who, was that something that you were taught early on, or like by your family? Like you said, you mentioned mentors. How did you become that kind of person that puts such value in other humans? Success is not always about the dollar signs. I think you can be rich and people can hate your guts. And people say, well, is that a successful person if nobody can stand the person? Or, you know what I mean? So, tell me a little bit about your past as far as who were some of the people that shaped your character and who you became.
Steve, that's a great question. And kind of, if we're going to go back, and I want to answer it, I want to be very transparent, I want to answer it properly, is, my mom's mother and father were right from the old country in Italy. They had certain rules. My grandfather was unbelievable. He left school at 4 years old, the 4th grade. He came here to the island alone with about 85 cents in his pocket. and he ended up owning 4 businesses, and one being one of the biggest demolition companies. They, would take houses apart by hand until, the cranes came into effect. My grandfather taught me how to work. My grandfather taught me how don't use the word no, okay? Find a way to get things done, no matter what it takes. So my grandfather was one of my biggest mentors. Now, coming from a strict Italian family, a lot of people say, Burchfield, how do you get the name Burchfield? You got Italy written all over you. And I don't even know if I ever shared this with Claudio. And I don't share this with many people, but you asked me a question, and I want to walk right through it, right up to where we are right now. So my mother was going out with a person. They had been going out for 2 or 3 years. And again, if you know the Italian traditions, as Claudio's parents and probably your parents, Steve, it's strict. I mean, my aunts couldn't wear lipstick. My grandfather was just unbelievable strict. Well, my mother gets pregnant to me, and she is not married. And my grandfather was abandoning her, and she was pregnant to me. And my grandmother, who was a saint, saved everything and went ahead and I was born. And before I was born, about the 8th month, my father, his name was James Vincent Carenti. And there is where I made my mark in life, in Rhode Island, in Providence, about 2 miles from my office, my present CS corporate office. My father got involved, the Carenti got involved with an armed robbery, and he got shot 8 times by the Providence police. And he was brought to the hospital, and there were 2 other people with him. And the police asked him, who were the other 2 guys with you? And he says, I'll tell you tomorrow. Well, the 3 of us know what that means. That means he wasn't going to tell them anything, and he died that night. And I always thought in my life, who are 2 other people who really looked after me? Because now I did not have a father. I had a mother, a grandmother, and grandfather. My grandmother and grandfather brought me up. And after I was about 7 or 8 years old, my mother met Roy Burchfield, who was from another altogether different element of where I was from, in an Italian family in Providence, Rhode Island. He came from High Point, North Carolina. Okay? And she married him, and he adopted me. And he was a great mentor to me. He taught me things that I could have never learned. Never. One funny thing, he'd say, brush your teeth before you go to bed. Well, I would wet, as a young, wise guy, I would wet the toothbrush and not brush my teeth. And he would come and get me by the ear in bed and say, get up and brush your teeth. And he taught me so many different things. So from my grandfather to Roy Burchfield, I have 2 brothers and sisters. I do not call them my half-brothers. They are my brothers. They are my sisters. And there's not too many people that know this story at all. I lived in projects. My family had no money. So I'm an underdog guy. If you're an underdog, you got a better chance with me than anyone. Okay? I love to teach people. I love to everything that I know. I pass it on, because the younger people are going to be the leaders of this world that we need so bad. We need this. I don't want to go political here because that's not what I do. But we need to show the younger people what this world is all about. So with that, and everywhere I went, whether it be the restaurant business, whether it be anywhere, people say, Burchfield, but you look so Italian. I would never explain that to anyone, okay? So we'll talk about, Steve, the question is our mentors. I have a fella that is from New York. His name is Gunther Fishgold, and you guys should have him on your program. He's one hell of a businessman, and he is in the export-import of nuts, pistachio nuts, all of that. He does very, very well, but he loves boxing. He's a boxing addict, and he's got about 3 or 4 boxes, okay? I've always wanted to try to do business with him, but nothing ever clicked. Finally, crazy me, I have a show one Saturday night at one of the biggest and best casinos in the world, Mohegan. And the following week, I have a show at, again, one of the greatest casinos in the world, Foxwoods Casino, back to back, 1 week after another. Not many promoters would even do that. But this guy, I said, Gunther, what do we got to do some business together? He said, well, can you put my fighters on your card? And I'll take a sponsorship out. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll put one of your fighters on Foxwoods, and I'll put one of your fighters on Mohegan. And I sat him next to me, both shows. And I don't know if they ever got to interview Claudio yet, but when it was over, I get a call from a Steve Fighter, and he's another guy you could get on your program. He's a movie producer from L.A. He's involved with Freddie Roach's gym out there. Would be a great guest for you guys. And he calls me, says, Jimmy, I see we got a mutual friend. I said, who's that, Steve? He said, Gunther Fishgold. I said, oh, yeah. I just started doing some business. Guess what? He wants to do a story about your life. He was so impressed as Claudio opened up to see me in action at an event. I could tell you where someone's not sitting in the right seat, okay? I take care of every one of them fans. And he watched me. Now, this guy's been involved with Don King, Oscar De La Hoya, Eddie Hearns, everybody, okay? And they presently are doing a life story of my life, just on what he witnessed on how I operate. So, and I told him, I said, listen, there's been 3 or 4 people who wanted to do my life story, and I never said yes to them. But as long as it's going to be done, and it's going to be done in style and in a classy way, then I'm going to go ahead and give you permission, which presently is being done right now. So I think I bring them examples, and then when I left my grandfather's demolition company, and I don't want you to think of demolition like a junkyard. Mm-hmm. It was we took houses apart and saved everything and resold everything. Lumbers, radiators, boilers, doors, everything. And that he taught me the value. I see these construction people now, they're throwing 2x4s, new 2x4s away and everything else. And I have the value of life because when I lived in projects, I had to fight. And another thing as I was growing up, and this could relate to Claudio very much, and one of the other things he's good at, I think I could have been a Major League Baseball player. I was a switch-hitting shortstop that could throw you out, that could hit with power both sides and throw you out behind third base. I had a gun for an arm. And I had 2 scholarships. Because of my family, their needs, I didn't do that. I went to work, and I supported my family. And that's who Jimmy Burchfield is.
Jimmy, thank you so much for sharing those stories. And I remember you did share that story with me, you growing up at Vinny's retirement at Foxwoods. And I'm honored and flattered that you shared it with us again. Those were great stories and said in a great way. We're going to take a quick commercial break here. We're going to be back with the great Jimmy Burchfield.
Ciao, Chrissy. Your Italian got so much better. Brava.
Grazie. It's because I learned the best way possible.
How so?
Well, I learned that with apps, grammar books, and even YouTube videos, I could only get so far. I had to immerse myself. I noticed I did best when I was in Italy visiting family. That's where my level really soared.
And wow, did it work?
Thanks. I became much more confident, fast. That's why I created Footsteps Through Time. It's an Italian language experience. You don't just take Italian classes, you immerse yourself in a real Italian village. With lots of fun activities and excursions, it's life-changing.
I see. So, no more boring grammar, impersonal apps, just real conversations, real culture, and delicious food, of course.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. Learn Italian by actually becoming part of the local community for a week and living it. So if you've been dreaming of Italy and the language, check out Footsteps Through Time in Italy.com. Book now and join the experience.
Andiamo!
Thanks to Greater Pittsburgh Travel. For any of your travel needs, let Tom and the team at Greater Pittsburgh Travel know, and they'll take care of you. For more information, call 412-331-2244 or visit their website at www.greaterpittsburghtravel.com. And we want to thank the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. If you're interested in learning more, you can find their contact information on Facebook at Calabria Club of Pittsburgh. Again, thanks Domenica and the team at the Calabria Club of Pittsburgh for your support.
Hello, everyone. My name is Claudio Reilsono, and I am the author of the book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, How to Create a Positive Winning Culture on the Field and in the Office. My years as a head baseball coach and a general manager of a pro baseball scouting company, I know that my leadership experiences that I've included in this book will help you become a better leader. You can get the book at ClaudioReilsono.com. Speaking of ClaudioReilsono.com, you can listen to my show, The Claudio Reilsono Show, where I've interviewed such legends as Mario Andretti, Dick Vermeil, Rocky Bleier, and many, many others. And I also have an entrepreneurial program there talking about my entrepreneurial experiences. So hopefully that will help you, and hopefully you will enjoy that. And also, Sports Corner, hosted by Ralph Williams, co-host with myself, Jim Frazier, and Luther Dupree Jr. We appear on 92.5 FM, 1250 AM, The Answer, Salem Radio, every Saturday here in Pittsburgh, 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I hope you enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy all the shows, and I hope you enjoy my book.
We'd also like to thank Chris Gonzalez from the Knights of Columbus. If you have any questions about joining the Knights of Columbus, reach out to Chris Gonzalez at 412-605-9074. Hi, I'm Steve Mancini.
And I am Claudio Reilsono, and we are the hosts of Talking Business and Life.
Join us in celebrating the Italian community on June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds. This ticket package includes an exclusive co-branded Pirates Italian-themed jersey and loaded value to use on concessions and merchandise during the game.
And remember, a portion of each ticket purchased through this offer will benefit a local Italian charity.
So hope to see you there June 28th as the Pittsburgh Pirates take on the Cincinnati Reds.
Okay, welcome back to Talking Business and Life with Steve Mancini and Claudio Reilsono, and our extremely special guest, the owner and founder and president of Classic Entertainment and Sports out of Providence, Rhode Island, Mr. Jimmy Burchfield. Jimmy, this is a personal question. Have you? I've been dealing, and I know Steve's tired of hearing it, I'm sure. I've been dealing with somebody who's hasn't been very good with me. He's trying to backstab me. How have you dealt with somebody who was a negative in your life?
I won't take negativity. I just won't. I want positive people around me, and I just crossed them off. And you know, I am a devoted Catholic. My religion means an awful lot to me. I will give anyone chances. I will give them second chances. But as long as there's positive energy, because negative energy is going to take a company down. So what I try to do at first, it isn't, you know, if you take a situation, I think, in a sense where you might have someone that's negative, and I want to kind of answer that a little better. Okay, is when I'm talking to someone and I get them negative vibes, my mind is thinking, and my son Jimmy Jr., who's an attorney, will always tell me, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but Dad, you have to slow down a little bit, because when you're talking to someone, your mind is way ahead, which it is. So if I'm explaining something, I'm also thinking of how that works, how it can't work, how are we going to fix that, how are we going to do something to turn this person around that gets up negative, goes to sleep negative, and, you know, where is their life gone? Because I think you can take any example of anything you do, whether it's bringing up your children, whether it's, you know, not wanting to go that extra step to make something happen, is how can you make someone better? How can you help someone become better? Listen, one of the people that, and I want to answer that question, but there's just one thing that's important that I don't want to forget. And one of my other biggest mentors was a person by the name of Clarence Coutu. Clarence Coutu owned one of the biggest building material companies in all of New England. We were the first building material company that ever had all of our lumber undercover and everything. He was one of the beside my grandfather, he was probably one of the hottest people to ever work for. He would give me 1,000 assignments a day. It'd be impossible to get them done. I would try, but every time, what I learned from that man, because at 24 years old, I had 200 people working underneath me. I ran that entire operation after only 2 years, because we had the building material lumber, we had a construction remodeling company, and we had a real estate company, all under one roof. And that man taught me so much about life, about giving, about making things happen. I'm very, listen, if you tell me no to something, you better be ready, because I'm not going to take the no, okay? I'm going to persevere until we can get an answer, until we can find a solution, okay? There's many times in this business right now, because the boxing business right now is upside down. If you follow it at all, you know, it's upside down, and you got to know what you're doing. You got to be able to get things done, even though it's upside down. We don't have a TV contract. We talk about Vinny Paz. Foxwoods Casino paid me $750,000 licensing fee to bring Vinny to Foxwoods Casino. Okay? That's not around anymore. They don't do that anymore. So the few promoters that have the contracts with the Zone or whoever they have, that's how they are surviving. But try to survive and keep the operations going without that. That's what I've done my entire life. Okay? I have found ways, and maybe I outwork people, which no one's going to outwork me. I'm going to find a way to get something done that's got to get done. That's it. Now, does it work 100% of the time? No. But it works 95% of the time. So Clarence was an unbelievable person. I was building my house, working for Clarence, and I subbed, because of my knowledge of the construction and lumber and everything, I subbed my house. I bought my land, I paid for it. No mortgage, I paid for it. I put my foundation in, I paid for it. I framed my house. I did as much as I could. I went as far as I could. I didn't want a mortgage. And towards the end, and it doesn't sound like a lot of money now, but I was probably about $15,000 short of material that I needed to finish my house. So I asked Clarence if I could do it, and I would pay him so much a month. And I said, of course. And I did that. And after about 3 months, I walk into my desk one morning at Clarence's. It's called CJ Coutu Cash and Cop. I walked into my office, and here's all the slips on my desk. And I look at Clarence, and he said, all of these are paid. That's my house gift to you. That's the type of man Clarence Coutu was to me. I think of him every day. I think of my grandmother and grandfather every day. And the people, I think of Roy Burchfield every day. And the people who have made my life and made me who I am. But I still look at the baseball games, and I look at the shortstops, and I look at the balls up the middle, over second base, and they're not diving, and some of them are. They get some of them. Some, Claudio will know that. I used to eat them up. Claudio.
I know that.
Eat them up. So,
Jimmy, let me ask you a question now. I want to touch on that a little bit, because there is a difference with people, especially athletes, in the way they play now versus 20 years ago versus 40 years ago versus 60 years ago. In your opinion, you've been around, for example, boxing. I used to watch boxing, decades ago. I don't even see it around, like hardly on anymore. I don't know if it's like we're too many sports on TV, too many channels, but boxing just doesn't have that allure that it seems like it used to have.
I want to tell you this.
Go ahead, because I'm dying to get your opinion on the state of boxing and what's changed.
I can't agree with you with that. The difference is, and I was asked to speak at Providence College a year or so ago to their marketing, their seniors, and they asked me, how in the hell did you ever survive for 35 years in this business? Well, I said, first of all, your insides have to be made out of cast iron. And here's the problem. Listen, and you guys are younger than me, and feel how I've had to adapt. Everything right now is social media, Steve. Yep. Everything is streaming. You come to a fight, everybody's looking at their phone. You go to a restaurant. I was at a restaurant the other night. There was a couple walked in. They were there for at least an hour. They never talked to each other 1 minute. All they were doing they were on their phone. Okay? So there are big fights. There are situations, but it's political. Look, we just had a heavyweight championship fight in Egypt over the weekend. Imagine Usyk fought a guy for a title that had one professional fight.
Right.
He was a kickboxer. Okay? So boxing is still alive.
And he
Boxing
didn't do
is
bad.
still-
He didn't do bad.
But it's manipulated a lot differently than it was when you first started watching it. Listen, there was a promoter here in Providence, Rhode Island. His name was Manny Almeida. Imagine this. He did a boxing event every week on a Monday night, sold out. Every week. He did that for like 15 years. But there wasn't the rules and regulations, there weren't the medicals, and you didn't have TV. I mean, if now they pirate the streaming, everybody's got shortcuts, but I'm telling you, it's still a great sport. You got to make the stars, and the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Vinnie Paz's, the Boom Boom Mancinis, the Muhammad Ali's, the Joe Frazier's. They're going to come around. Maybe once every decade, you're going to get one of them. But still to this day, Steve and your audience, there is nothing like being at a live boxing event.
I agree.
Really.
No, I agree. I just feel like boxing has got pushed down because there's so, like, with MMA, all the UFC, all this other stuff. I just feel like it's, people are like, almost like, I don't want to watch that because I can watch something even more violent, and I don't know how that impacts boxing.
You're right, Steve. It seems like the younger generation, that's what they want, is violence. And now you left one out. There's the bare knuckles.
Yeah. I saw that for the first time not too long ago. I mean, we're going back in time. They did that 100 years ago because they didn't have gloves. Now they're doing it because, for whatever reason.
Yeah, and it is savage. It is dangerous. It is. I mean, boxing is dangerous as well. But you're right. There are a lot. Listen, you take. I don't know what anyone's opinion is. It's kind of. It's something that the networks have to catch on. Like, listen, I'm involved somewhat with boxing right now. It's called a TBL League. There's 9 states involved. It's a team boxing concept. And I'm the general manager of the Boston team, Boston Butchers team. And you got to watch it. It's the fight. There's 9 members on the team. They fight one round until the money rounds, and it's in a 20 by 20 ring, so it's punches galore, and it hasn't caught on yet. It will, because I think Mickey Ward came to one of our fights in Boston last year, and he said, I don't know if I can watch a traditional regular boxing match anymore. So I think that even at an event, Steve, right now, you have to entertain. Before, the boxing writers, the boxing fans, all they wanted to see was boxing. Right now, we did an event a year or so ago with Jake Paul. He fought in Cleveland. It was a Sunday night at the arena. I forget the name of it. One of my former workers was the general manager of the arena. He came to me about the third fight. Jake Paul hadn't fought yet, but around the third fight, he said, Jimmy, he called me Mr. B. Mr. B, I can't believe this. I said, what? He said, we broke every concession number we've ever had in this building for 35 years. They don't stop spending, partying. There's nobody, the crowd was so young, nobody knows boxing that was in that crowd. They got their phones, they're videoing everything. It's a whole, and you need to adjust.
Now,
you can't do things the way you were doing them 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It's a whole new life out there.
Now, Jimmy, I want to jump in there because I do want to ask you about that because you mentioned the word entertaining. Now, you started young and you had a business acumen, which was driven by hard work. You show up, you find a way, You get it done. I don't care if there's 10,000 things to do today. We're going to try and find a way to get it done. But that's different than entertaining. So when did you kind of feel like you kind of made your bones with, you know what, I'm going to take my hard work and I'm going to use it to entertain people? How did that transition happen?
Yeah, I think that, one of the leaderships that you have to have is you kind of got to know not only what's happening in 2026, but what, we can look at AI right now. I interviewed an intern the other day. He gave me a 25-page resume of my entire company. He knew about this movie of my life. I said to him, where did you get all this information? And he said, from AI. Okay? So there's so many changes that are happening at this point. But without social media, okay, it's driving everything. And it's unfair sometimes because a lot of the stuff that's up on social media is not true. Right. And it's playing with people's brains. But it's a situation that, that you got to know. You got to know what's going on, and you kind of got to know what to expect and how are you going to adapt to this. What changes are you going to make that you're going to be up to date and have these younger people coming to a boxing match and watching a boxing match, and entertaining them. I knew some years ago I couldn't just put 6-7 fights together of guys in the ring with nothing else. I like, even at my classic restaurant, people who worked for me, I had chefs, and I positioned them. One of my chefs at the classic worked at the White House as head chef with 2 different presidents, okay? And the changes that I had to do at the restaurant, like I was the first ever to put lemon in your water to refreshen the water. Now everybody followed that, so you not only have to invent, but you got to still stay ahead of everything that's going on. So I know that to keep up with telling fans or fans following you, they don't just want to come to, even listening. If I'm a bad guest of yours, nobody's going to listen to the program, okay? It's going to be boring. Nobody's going to care. But you do a live boxing event, or you go to a restaurant, or you go anywhere. When I was running the lumberyard, if you were a contractor, I know that the stuff has to be, wherever you're building that house or building, I have to have your inventory there by no later than 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So my trucks were loaded the night before. I learned that from my grandfather. And them contractors got their inventory at 7 in the morning. Contractor needs a certain type of doorknob. It's not an inventory. A railroad tie. Well, I would reach out and find and go travel 60 miles to get that screw for that contractor for the following morning. And things of paying your respect. I have a funeral to go to tonight. It's one of my coaches that coaches some of our fighters. His mother died. It's almost a 2-hour ride from Providence, but I'm going to go. Lou Duva died, one of the best trainers in boxing. Great family. I found out Saturday night that he was going to be laid out on a Sunday. I got in my car, I drove to New Jersey. I stood there during the Mass and everything, and then I drove back. It was almost 6 hours to get there and 6 hours to get back. That's called respect. That's something you can't teach.
Right.
Now, you can use 1,000 excuses why you can't go. That's okay, if that's what you want to do.
Absolutely right, Jimmy. It's easy to find a reason to not go, especially events like that. It's funny you say that because I've gone to a lot of those just because I didn't even know the person that died, but they were related to somebody that I was close with, and just as a matter of respect, you pay your respects to the person that passed away. Even though you didn't even know the person, it's still the right thing to do.
That's how we were raised.
Right, and exactly. And that, Jimmy, everything you're saying is simply summed up, and you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and you just do it.
Yep. But and I tell the younger people who work for me now, because, they're teaching, as you know, since they've been 6, 7, 8 years old, has been on the computer and on the iPhones. That's how they were taught. I don't know about you guys, but I'll call and leave a phone message to a younger person and leave the message on their phone. It'll be 2 or 3 days before they get back to me.
That's so true.
We're not like that. You know that, Jimmy. You text me, you're getting a response back in minutes.
There's somebody listening I'm still waiting for his call back 2 days ago. It's funny you say that. It was a young person.
Yeah. So it's now you can try to teach that. You can try your best. I tell it. I've got a real bright young man that's working with me and trailing me right now. I said, look, I don't want you to ever lose your values of what you've learned since grammar school and computers and iPhones and everything. Now, you got that. That's embedded in your brain. But now get some old school values and put them both together. And you'll be a leader. You'll go to the moon, and you'll be very successful in life. So some will, and some won't. But I think it boils down to you. You kind of got to have initiatives. You got to have desire to want to be successful. If you don't have that desire. You can't adjust. No matter, after doing this 35 years in this business, there's still not an event that happens that you don't learn something new.
Sure.
Okay? We were instrumental. I have my director of operations, Pat Sullivan, who started with me as an intern, and one of the instructions I gave him is, listen, you got to know everything about this business. You got to know how to put a ring up, how to take it down, everything. You got to know everything. Fast forward, we're the promoter of the Roy Jones Mike Tyson exhibition in Florida. The ring is put up not by us, but it collapsed about 2 hours before the event. And Pat's underneath the ring fixing it. There was nobody there that knew what the hell to do. And Pat got it done. Okay? And he said to me, while I was doing it, I was remembering the words you told me, that I have to know everything about the business. So it's easy if you have that push and that drive and that desire to really want to do things right. It's easy. Life is beautiful. Every day is such a treasure that God gives us, and we got to make the best of it.
Jimmy, I've been telling people how wonderful you are. I've been telling Steve about you for the longest time, and now you've proved me right. You're one of the people that I really do want to make proud of me. I appreciate you more than you know, and the only thing I don't like about you, we live too far away, but I'm going to be seeing you again. I saw you last year, of course, at the Vinny's Hall of Fame, and we're going to be seeing you. We're working on that, some different things, but I'm going to be seeing you in Canastota one of these days. You're certainly well deserving of it, and thank you for being such an important part of my life, and I love you to death.
I want to tell you this. You don't have to worry about me wanting to be proud of you. I am proud of you. And Steve, I'm very proud that I got the chance, because with you doing a partnership with Claudio, that speaks vibes in my life, that you're a good person. So I wish both of you the very, very best, and I am honored to be on the program.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
That means a lot, Jimmy. So thank you very much. That really does.
Okay, Jimmy. Well, thank you for taking the time and giving you a big hug and a kiss. And tell Vinny I said hello. We text here and there. So Vinny,
no, it's funny. I text him. We have a show coming up in Providence. It's a younger Rhode Island, New England fighters that look up and coming. And what I want to do, Claudio, I want all of our former CES fighters and champions to come and show these younger fighters their support. So I talked to Vinny 2 or 3 times on it, and we've got a bunch of them coming to support the younger guys. And one of the things that I think, Steve, you asked me is, did I practice? Is what Coach Lombardi, one of his quotes, as we know, if you followed Coach Lombardi, one of the greatest ever.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And I say this in the dressing rooms a lot, and I say this to the team concept a lot, is, you know what, we'll close with this. Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
That's a quote from Coach Lombardi.
The other quote that I use of his is, the greatest feeling in the world is to lie exhausted in victory. The second greatest feeling in the world is to lie exhausted in defeat. In other words, give everything you got. Leave it in the ring, leave it on the field, leave it out there. But
even if something doesn't, as long as you've given it your best.
Right. That's right.
You're winning. You're winning.
I was speaking with a teacher today, and we were going over some things, and in college, this teacher told me, he's a professor, listen, we don't want to fail anyone in college, okay? If there's something borderline, we'll give them a C-,
right,
because of their effort, okay? We're not going to fail them unless we see no effort whatsoever. But if they've given it everything they got,
yep,
they're not going to get an F. They're going to get a C-.
There you go.
And that I was happy that professor told me that, actually.
Well, Jimmy, thanks again for being on our show, for taking time out of your very busy schedule. You and I will be in touch, and as always, a ton of respect to you and love you a ton, and appreciate you.
God bless you. Ciao. And keep up the great work, guys.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
Jimmy.
Love you, Jimmy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, we hope you enjoyed that. Jimmy's the best. He's still going at it to this day after all these years, and still very successful. And nobody can keep up with him, trust me.
How long has he been promoting? He's at 35 years at least?
Well, he had something to do with Vinny Paz's 1986 fight against Joe Frazier Jr. in Rhode Island. They sold it out at the Providence Civic Center. And I think he went full blast in like 90, 91, right, something.
He had
like
to
that.
have been dabbling, because it's not like something you just start doing one day full time.
Yeah.
Wow,
And,
he's been in a while. That's what I'm saying. Guys like that have seen, and we'll say they've seen it all, because he'll tell you there's always something new to learn. But they've seen enough that that's that wealth of knowledge.
But for him to be the promoter of the Jones-Tyson fight, especially during that time, goes to show you how much respect and trust he has, because those guys are who they are, and they could have gone to anywhere. They went to Jimmy Burchfield.
What's that said? It says volumes right there.
Yep.
All right, Claudio. I like the episode. I liked him.
Yeah.
And he gave us some ideas for some new guests. So
there you go. And
we'll
use them. We'll take them.
That's right.
All right, everyone. We hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. We appreciate the audience for tuning in. Steve, thank you always. And as always, thank you, Mom and Pop. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to Talking Business and Life with Claudio Reilsono and Steve Mancini. Tune in next week for more impactful business and life experiences with Claudio and Steve.